Welcome back, once again adventurers, to Let's Play Steins Gate 0. In the last episode, Mayuri Shina and her fellow cosplay friends Fubuki, Kade, and Yuki Amane were busy spending a late night shopping spree in the midst of Akihabara in preparation for both the winter Komima coming up this December, as well as the eventual surprise Christmas party that Mayushi was planning. Shortly after they went their separate ways, however, something truly inexplicable happened. Apparently, Fubuki, who was someone that was completely unrelated to the events of the Alpha Worldlines, has been having strange nightmares. More specifically, they are the nightmares of the events of the deaths of Mayuri Shina. But those deaths were prevented, first and foremost by Rintaro, when he leapt back in time through countless Alpha Worldlines to prevent Mayuri's death from happening, and secondly, as I mentioned multiple times in the previous episode, we are currently on the beta worldline. We are over the 1% threshold. Thus, those deaths should not happen. Specifically because we are well beyond the month of August. We're in November, 3 months after August. So, it's rather curious as to why Fubuki is having these experiences. Meanwhile, in another part of Akihabara, Suzuha Amane is brooding here in the Future Gadget Laboratory. Suzuha Amane was about to run out of patience. The cause was the young man in the room with her father. Itaru Hashida, aka Daru. His massively obese body was leaning forward over a computer monitor, and he had a dopey grin on his face. That's our super hacker for you. He'd finally gotten up at around 11 AM, gulped down 3 cups of instant ramen, and now was surfing the internet. Yeah, like a certain tsundere assistant, Daru is an at-channeler junkie.
なんですとリア充メッセピーとバルテノン氏って夫婦だったん何それ聞いてねえし
And it looks like Daru's following a chat forum on that channel. Normies Must Die P, a Vocalo producer. 2 of his videos have exceeded over 1 million views. Popular for the unique worlds he builds with his lyrics. As his name suggests, many of his songs criticize normies or normals, or criticize himself for not having any friends. His songs are a source of support for viewers in similar dire straits. His songs always feature images by the same illustrator, Parthenon, and her cute illustrations are another source of popularity. As for Parthenon, she is a female freelance illustrator. She primarily does illustrations for Nikonia video and Vocalo songs, and is most popular with young women. And Daru is upset about the fact that these 2 collaborators are in a relationship.
つうかリア充メッセとか名乗ってる本人がリア充じゃん リアルに嫁いるとか汚い汚すぎる
I think Suzuha must be feeling pretty ashamed of her father right at this moment, and I don't entirely blame her. The cringe is strong with this
ぐ
one.
ぬぬぬぬぼっちの味方だと思ってたのに
I don't think you could ever consider yourself alone, Itaru.
こんなん戦争だろう援助必死だろう
For the love of Mike.
うおと思ったらもうアットちゃんもツイポも炎上してた件について
So there's a internet flame war on @channel and Twitter. I shouldn't need to know you what Twitter is, but I'm going to anyway because it's in the tips. The name of a microblogging software app allows for tweets up to 140 characters in length. Tweets from other users you follow can be viewed in a timeline, allowing it to be used as a chat forum or chat program. Also, I myself often update my own Twitter feed with the episodes of my Let's Plays that I post there on YouTube.
僕としたことが出遅れたこれまでの流れをちゃんとチェックしないと
Of course, unlike a certain super hacker here, I don't waste my time sort of embroiling myself in forum wars of any kind. And I think Suzuha has reached her limit.
はい
That's what Suzuha called her father. It's who he was after all, so there was nothing else to call him. Suzuha was a time traveler from the year 2036, and 7 years from now, Daru would become her father.
いい加減にしなよ。一日中ゴロゴロして食べるかネットを見るかゲームをしてるかばっかり。
In the Alpha Worldline, Suzuha would certainly be a little bit more lenient and not entirely unlike Daru in this situation. However, the Beta Worldline Suzuha has no such luxuries.
即席麺やお菓子ばかり食べてると体に病変を生じるって警告しても治そうともしない。
You'd be amazed at how much people change when they get older, Suzuha. Daru may surprise us. In fact, his PC desk was covered with snacks. She cleaned it regularly, but it never seemed to make a difference.
運動だってしろって言ってるのに全然しない。
That's because at this moment in time, Suzuha, Daru is following his passion to become a wizard-class super hacker. Suzuha realized she was complaining more than usual, but she had to say it anyway.
そんなんじゃ将来
Something tells me from her tone of voice that it's not just Daru that Suzuha is angry with, but rather a certain man by the name of Rintaro Okabe. And then she realized that Daru wasn't even listening to her. His eyes were fixed on the computer monitor. He'd even moved his mouse out of sight, but you could still hear him clicking. It was a good try, Daru, but
話を聞きなさい。
you've been found out. Suzuha approached her father from behind and put the hairspray can she'd been hiding up to his neck. It's not really a gun, but then it doesn't have to be. It's extremely cold. Daru seemed to think it was a gun. He stuck his hands up. Threats like this worked. They worked because she told them that she'd survived the Third World War and the wars and chaos of 2036, and that she was ready to draw a gun and pull the trigger whenever she needed to. Given the fact that when she first arrived in August, the beta worldline Suzuha was dressed in army camouflage, I could believe it.
Suzuha, やめてくんないと父さん怒っちゃう。
Something tells me that that threat isn't going to work, Daru.
怒られるのは父さんの方。
In the Funimation dub, she specifically states that she's mad enough for the two of them, and I can believe it.
はい、すみません。
And Daru readily concedes the point.
でもさ、僕の秘密の仕事知ってるっしょ？あれが結構忙しいんだよ。
Secret job, eh? Might need
僕
to
ぐ
look
らいの
into
ハッカ
that.
ーになると引く手あまたでさ。
Yes, indeed. Daru is a super class hacker. Not quite wizard class yet, but there aren't many people as good as him.
食事も適当に済まさざるを得ないっつうか。
Indeed, if it wasn't for Daru's hacking skills, we might not have survived the encounter with CERN.
海外のクライアント相手だと時差もあって昼夜逆転しちゃうっつうか。
It looks like certain groups have been offering him under the table
未来の父さんもそんなことばっかり言って母さんに叱られてた。
Even in the future, Daru never really changed. And of course that would mean that Yuki Amane would be very upset
100歩
with him
譲っ
as
て
well.
睡眠周期は仕方ないとしてもこれ以上健康を損ねるような食事は許容範囲外。即刻中止することいい？
だけど仕事もそうだけどタイムマシンの研究が大変なんだ。癒しが欲しいんだよね僕。
そうやって言い訳してすぐだらけようとする。甘えてるよ父さん。
Well, at this point in time, Daru is the same age as Suzuha in this case. That is to say, 18 years old. Suzuha was always amazed that her dad managed to survive the future's wars. But since the time machine research would affect the future, and eventually Suzuha's very presence here, she couldn't tell him to stop. Even after Rintaro Okabe stopped coming to the Future Gadget Lab, Daru had kept working on the time machine all by himself. Suzuha had never said a word about it. If she did, it might create a time paradox.
タイムマシンを作るのに未来から来たタイムマシンを精査しちゃダメだからね。
That's certainly true. Of course, that does create a complication. She decided to warn him again. Yeah, unfortunately with CERN out of the power play, Daru can't simply take their technology like his Alpha Worldline counterpart.
分かってるよそんなこと。でも時々自信なくなるんだよね。僕本当にタイムマシンなんて作るん？
The only problem with this scenario is the fact that World War III essentially has to happen if Daru is to make a time machine, because in this world line, America, Russia, and the European Union all basically have a arms race with the development of time machines.
当然だよ。しっかりして。
CERN was one thing, but An entire nation, or 3 entire nations going head to head in mortal combat, that's a different league in itself. Suzuha took the hairspray can off his neck.
てっきり銃だと思ったらなんというはったり。父さんを騙すなんてひどいよ。
You should probably be grateful that she didn't use a real gun on you, and she might at that.
次は本物使うからね。
Yeah, I would take Suzuha's threat at face value there, Daru.
それマジ勘弁。
Suzuha put the can of hairspray back on the shelf. It was something that Rintaro Okabe had left here when he lived in the lab. It was still here, since its owner never came back for it. I don't think he is
漫画と
coming
かゲーム
back.
だとさ、
Well,
父親を叱る娘ってのはもっとこう燃えるんだけどな。
well, of course, Rintaro is going to be coming back for the Christmas party because he promised Mayuri, and Daru's being his usual self.
鈴葉、ちょっとさ、もうダメだよパパって言ってみてくんない？できれば甘やかすような口調で。
You know what I said about the cat face being the creepy face of Itaru Hashida? This face is even creepier. Itaru, unfortunately, hasn't changed in 3 months. And even, I seem to believe that Yuki saw this aspect of Daru's personality when she was talking to Mayuri.
なんでもないでござる。
Let's just let that matter lie and never speak of it again. Her dad shrank from Suzuha's glare. Sorry for clicking so fast. Suzuha sighed loudly and dropped herself on the sofa. She leaned back against the headrest and stared at the ceiling, then closed her eyes.
どうしたん？
なんでも。
I think she's pretty upset at both Daru and Rintaro. Of course, Daru's case certainly can't be helped. Rintaro's crisis, however, is far more complex.
隠しても無駄なのだぜ。鈴葉のなんでもないってのは話を聞いてほしいって意味っしょ。
And yet sometimes Daru can surprise people with how perceptive he can be at times.
ほら、
Almost on the level of
話してみる
Mayuri.
といいよ。
Daru sounded very serious. Suzuha's eyes went wide for a moment, but then she realized.
そのセリフ、この前プレイしてたギャルゲーにあったよね。
I should have known.
え、
Busted, Itaru Hashida.
それでフラグが成立するんだっけ？
Just one moment. A flag is computer game lingo, a type of foreshadowing that means a common trope is about to occur. For example, an XXX flag, a quadruple X flag, means that somewhere in the future, quadruple X will happen. Death flags and love flags are common examples. This is basically true of visual novel games. She'd been living here for 3 months. She was starting to learn little about Akihabara's culture. circa 2010.
父さん、間違っても私を落とそうとか思わないでよね。
Yeah, I have absolutely nothing to say to that, except I don't think that this Suzuha is planning on working part-time at the Brawn Tube workshop downstairs.
ねえよ、実の娘にそんなことしないって。
本当かな。未来の父さんはちょっと怪しかった。
Really are a worry sometimes, Daru.
私が思春期になってからもよく一緒にお風呂入ろうって誘われたな。
何それ怖い。
Even Daru is disturbed by his future self.
私は軍属だったし、父さんはタイムマシンの開発に追われてたからいつも一緒にいられるわけじゃなかったけど、とにかくベタベタしてきたよ。鬱陶しいくらいにね。
I don't think even Daru has anything to say about that. Her dad looked honestly depressed, and she realized that she'd gone too far.
父さんはさ、いつも私に言ってくれてたよ。ここは最低最悪の世界線だけど、私が誕生したことだけは最高だって。
Now, Suzuha's trying to cheer up her future father.
私、未来の父さんを失望させたくないんだ。だから、絶対にオカリンおじさんを説得しなきゃ。
Unfortunately, Suzuha Amane, I believe it will truly be a cold day in hell before Rintaro Okabe decides to go back in time to the 28th of July.
大丈夫、失望したりしないって絶対に。
Good to know, Daru.
そうかな。
うん。
けどね、おじさんはどうしても話を聞いてくれないよ。
It's because you don't know how many times he's jumped through countless world lines to save someone that he cares about. There's only so much that a single person can take, you know?
このままじゃおじさんは過去へ行かない。マキセ・クリスを救出しない。シュタインズゲートにも到達しない。
And if you're going to try and convince him now, I would advise you to reconsider, given his physiological condition right about now. Steins Gate. That was the name of the mysterious world line her dad told her about in 2036, where World War III might not occur. For those of you who were following my adventures in the original Let's Play of Steins Gate, you will remember that we actually managed to reach Steins Gate itself, which is a previously unobserved world line where the future was absolutely uncertain. World War III could very well still occur, as could CERN's dystopia, but then again neither might occur. Whether or not Kurisu and Mayuri would die at some point in Steins Gate is also an unknown possibility. And yet, things certainly seem to turn out for the best. However, in order to reach Steins Gate, a certain insane mad scientist from the future was absolutely integral. However, in this alternative beta world line of Steins Gate 0, that event did not happen. So this world line is going an entirely new direction of all of its own. Leading Rintaro Okabe to that world line was her mission. But right now, it wasn't going well. Suzuha had come to 2010, and just like the mission had called for, she had succeeded in sending Rintaro Okabe to July 28th. But then he had failed, and he wasn't going to try again. And unfortunately, even if he did decide to go back, his emotional state is, as a nervous wreck, is entirely detrimental to his health. Every time they'd met, she tried to convince him, but who knew if her words were having any effect? Your words are having an effect, Suzuha Amane. Just not a positive effect, in fact a rather increasingly negative effect,
結局
and is detrimental to
第
his
三次世
health.
界大戦に世界線は収束して大勢の人たちが殺戮される。それを変えるために私は来たのに何もできない運命なのかな。
It seems that Suzuha is finally starting to grasp a little of the pain that Rintaro Okabe has experienced throughout the Alpha world lines. Now, I know for a fact that on the Beta world line of Steins Gate, we were able to cheat our way through Kurisu Makase's death thanks to a certain little loophole. But if you remember watching the divergence meter at the beginning of this Let's Play, you will notice that it's not the same as the divergence meter of the Beta world line in my Let's Play of Steins Gate. It's off by about 0.02% or something like that, which is unfortunately just enough of a divergence shift. We were definitely lucky before, but I don't think convergence is going to be kind to Rintaro Okabe this time around, especially when it comes to the death of Kurisu Makase. Suzuha had something else she had to do here in Akihabara in 2010, besides convincing Rintaro Okabe, and it meant she was running around every day. The exhaustion was starting to take its toll on her. During the war, she'd been able to keep herself sharp at all times, and this level of exhaustion wouldn't have meant anything. The relaxed atmosphere of 2010 was actually making her realize how tired she was. She was feeling very sleepy right now, actually. She was surprised how she was willing to fall asleep in such an undefended position, but she didn't think she could beat the temptation. And then suddenly she felt something extremely cold on the back of her neck. She snapped awake in an instant. Her movements after that were lightning quick. She jumped up and slid behind the massive body in front of her, which obviously belonged to Daru, then grabbed his arm and twisted it as she dropped him to the floor. She went to draw the gun at her hip, and her hand swiped through empty air. And then she came back to reality. Her gun was hidden. She wasn't carrying it. This wasn't 2036. It seems that Rintaro Okabe is not the only one who is having a rather traumatic... he's not the only one who currently is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And you probably better let go of Daru. I think you're about to break his arm. That certainly won't be good for his health. 2 cans of Dr. Pepper have clattered to the floor. That must have been what he'd put on her neck. Payback for the hairspray, I think.
さっきのお返しだお。
Looks like Daru and Suzuha are now even. At
ぼ
least
ー
I
っとして
think.
たから危うく殺しちゃうとこだったよ。そういう訓練受けてきたんだからシャレじゃ済まないんだって。
Seems to me that the future of 2036 in World War III is a very terrible place.
わかったから話してくだされ。言いたいでござるの巻。
まったくもう。
And Daru taps out. And the victory goes to Suzuha. Suzuha let her father go.
いてててて。
Daru rubbed his arm and stood up, then grabbed one of the cans of Dr. Pepper off the floor. He offered one to Suzuha. Probably not a good idea to open it. If you open a can of carbonated soda after it's been shaken, it will almost certainly explode everywhere, and then we'll have to clean up the laboratory. Of course, if any electronics happen to get fried, we're basically going to get kicked out of the building by Mr. Tanuji. Also, Daru mentioned something to Rintaro in I believe the first episode of the Steins anime. Just because he has meat on his bones doesn't mean he's strong. He's not nearly as muscular as Suzuha, let alone the aforementioned Mr. Brawn.
つうかさ、諦めんの早すぎだろ。もうちょっと頑張ってみるのだぜ。
And now it seems that Daru is the one who is giving the encouragement, which is a nice change of
多
pace.
分オカリンは疲れて眠ってるだけだから。今みたいに冷たい毒ペでも首筋に当ててやれば飛び起きるんじゃね？
Or he could just as well as break your arm as well as much as you did to Daru, Suzuha.
なんせほら、あのオカリンだし。
Unfortunately, Rintaro has his own share of problems that won't entirely be fixed by Dr. Pepper. She realized her dad was trying to cheer her up and nodded. Then she heard footsteps coming up the stairs and some slightly off-key humming. That sounded like a woman's voice. Now that was certainly a sudden surprise for both Daru and Suzuha. But that's it for this episode of Let's Play Steins Gate Zero. In the next episode we shall see who the mysterious person, who the mystery woman with the off-key humming is, although I have a fairly good idea as to who it might actually be, which could mean trouble for both Daru and especially Suzuha. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.